slate. And I actually did well. I did really well in the showdown last night. Even with Dowdle as a captain, he still cashed pretty deep in the 333, the big one. I had I did well with that, and then I thought I was going to do well in NBA. I went to bed doing well, and then I woke up to a stat correction that put me as the exact bubble boy in the 555 on FanDuel. So one off the money, that's $1,000. That kind of sucked. And then I dropped down, a few $100 in my DraftKings one. So a little stat correction for 1,300 loss in the morning, which was a little tilting, but just a small tilt. And ready to get into today's slate, though. Felt like we had a lot of the good ideas. A lot of the shifting I made. I played a lot of Desonmu after the Bulls news came out without DeRozan. That worked out well. So there was a lot of good news. And Sheets, you made a really nice run last night. Why don't you talk about that before we?
Yeah, I did pretty well yesterday across the board. I did pretty well in FanDuel. I did pretty well in DraftKings. I did pretty well in the football too. But yeah, I got I had this. It was, I gotta tell you, man, the NBA is so hard. I mean, to stay on top of, and I had dinner. Then I'm like, okay, Stacey, I got to go check this, and then the DeRozan thing, and I had to do another late swap, and just I had to keep on just doing it, and so I ended up like landing on this 555 lineup that was fortunate enough to have Rozier, and somebody else was really good. I couldn't put the Rozier Brunson together. I had Brunson on a FanDuel one. And it still ended up min cashing, even though it had Bam, which is like freaking amazing, actually. But I guess I'll show it if anybody cares, the lineup, because what I ended up having to do, like with I had an island game left, and I want to show you. I actually was like, it's really funny when I texted you about it. It was more competitive a lineup than I thought it was.
Yeah.
I really didn't think it had a chance, so I didn't think it was that big of a deal. But let me pull this up here. Okay. All right. Let me share my screen, and we'll talk about the decision I had to make here in a second. So let's share screen, entire screen, this and. So remember, keeping the timing here. It's kind of hard because, crap, it doesn't say the ownership either. From this, if I had to do this, it's got to be able to. Yeah, here it is. So I'll do this way, and then we'll do. Okay, yeah, here it was. Okay, so I played the McGowans, and I had 12%. I had the 12% on Terry Rozier, who smashed, right, and then the Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I mean, obviously that was really, really big. Claxton got there completely in the fourth quarter, pretty much, or the third quarter. He had like 12 at the half. And so that was doing pretty well. And then we had a Naz Reid bust for me. And, listen, I didn't pick him or didn't pick him. This is literally what I landed on after late swapping. And then so I was left with Wembanyama was doing well. And then we had Kobe White. So I had Kobe White going, and then like a Harden kind of play, like kind of like lurking. Like they hadn't started yet this game. And this Kobe White was continuing to go, and he was doing fine. And so I had this one decision left to be made. I had like 8,200 left, and I originally had Kawhi in this spot. And I figured I was going to cash. I mean, how am I not going to cash if I have freaking Rozier and, you know what I mean? Like, whatever.
Right.
And I figured the White was going to be good enough. I didn't really think I was going to be in contention to win, really. Just because how do you think that when you have a 13, point guy? You know what I mean? Like, you don't really think that. So I said, so I reached out to Bobby. Who do you like between? These are the only choices, right? Between Harden and what's his name? And I really could have flipped a coin, honestly, either way, And the reason why it was a weird bit of logic, like between Harden and Kawhi, because Kawhi was a little bit more expensive. So on the one hand, Harden might be lower owned, but higher owned, I thought, because he was cheaper. Mm-hmm. But it was weird because I figured that in my particular type of lineup, I'd rather leave 200 on the table than 100. Maybe in my construction, it would be less. That was really overthinking it on my part. So I played Harden. It turns out it was the right decision because he was 1.8% owned, and that's just really the bottom line.
Right. It didn't matter. What did he end up with, Harden? I can't see.
He ended up with pretty much the same as Kawhi, if you want to.
Yeah, it's basically the same, right?
I mean, maybe 4 points less or something like that.
37.
But the fact that he was 1.8 and Kawhi was 7, that justified the decision. And
sure.
And I'll tell you, man, watch. I don't watch the NBA too often. You know what I mean? Like unless I really have a sweat. I got a chance to watch this. I got to tell you, man, and this is why you don't. It's tough to play these situations. Like remember back when like Harden and Durant and like the three studs in one team. It's tough, because like Harden's a great player when he's on a team with nobody else. You know what I mean? Like he's a great fantasy player when he just can get the 100% usage. But he's actually kind of like a team player otherwise. You know what I mean? Like sometimes he'll go and say, okay, Kawhi, it's all you, and then he'll just go to the corner. You know what I mean?
Right.
He doesn't have to do everything.
But if you watch the first quarter, it was the exact opposite. Kawhi did absolutely nothing, stood in the corner, and let Harden do everything.
Yeah. And so it's a little, I wouldn't say tilting, but listen, it's not like he busted really, you know what I mean? And the fact is, I mean, this is why these guys are 8K and not 10-2 anymore. You know what I mean? Like it's just not the same environment. He did just fine. But we're a little tilting because I mean, quite honestly, I only missed by 12 points. I mean,
if he has a big game, you win.
Dude, he had 22 points and a half. Even if he just does that, I'm like right in there,
Right.
So and listen, I got a little fortunate. I got a couple of more points out of Kobe because of the overtime. So overall, a pretty good day for me. On a season that the good days in the NBA are few and far between. So that's why I really want to win this thing. Because
absolutely.
Because once you're in contention, man, you don't know if you're going to get in contention all too often. Because I'm looking at all these parentheses guys I'm dealing with every freaking day.
Oh, I know. It's a nightmare, man.
I got my one little guy. How's my one little guy going to be even competitive with a 13-point player? You know what I mean? Like so. Anyway.
And by the way, just to touch on that from a we always talk about trying to teach and everything. It's one thing like that's why how many lineups you play really does matter, like in certain things. If you're playing 1 versus 36 for people, if you're playing 20 versus 150, the basic thing is take a little bit more chances. You know what I mean? Like on a couple of positions. Be willing to take the 1% guy instead of the 7% guy. You know what I mean? Take those extra gambles.
Listen, if you've never experienced it yourself, okay, like not you, but you have never experienced it yourself. If you play the lottery or you play any tournament really, and you have like one like lineup in contention, and then you're dealing, especially like maybe like baseball, when you have like all these guys with like 10 lineups that are all surrounding you, like, and listen, the optimizers are smart. They're going to give people different outs. They're going to say, like, you're sitting here, you need like this particular path. They've got your path and like 9 others, So if you're going to do that, you may as well try to get unique. You know what I mean? To beat those dudes because it's not easy.
Absolutely.
But all right. But this is still my method. I'm going to play 1, if at all. I play 1 in the big one, and that's just what I'm doing.
And when the good news is when you have a night, you still have a good profitable night just based on that lineup. Even if you lost it.
The other day, I mean, listen, I was when I was doing the live sweat. It was amazing. Like there were people like 30 freaking entries in that 2,500. I
know. Everybody's throwing in that million. I know.
I don't care who you are. That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money, man. That's for sure.
All right.
Why don't they start us off here with Washington and Orlando?
Yeah, I feel as though we just played this game.
I think we play this game every other day.
Yeah. And I'm looking here, and it seems as though you want to play this, but who's showing up as good value here? So Gafford looks like whatever. I was listening to some other shows, and they were talking about like these other guys that were projecting as big point per dollar plays on Washington. I'm not exactly seeing it myself. Like I'm seeing like a 36% ownership projection for Danilo Gallinari.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know if that's going to stick.
I don't know about any of this. So I'm probably Gafford only because like centers are always in play. And then on the Orlando side, I guess the same guys we played last time, right? Wagner, Banchero. Now there was a thing where Moritz Wagner ended up being popular for technical reasons, right? There was somebody was out or something.
It's pretty much the same. Nobody new, nobody special is out that wasn't out.
Goga or anything like. I mean, listen, on current projections. It's weird, but I'm not really getting all too much from this.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to prioritize the Orlando side, but Gafford is looking like the best point per dollar play at the moment. Look, there's huge risk with him every time, especially when they're playing a team without a conventional big. Although Batatse, I guess you could argue, is a conventional big, but they just take him out he gets those 16-minute games because they'll play Koulibaly, they'll play Small, they'll play Gallinari at the 5, and they're probably going to do a little bit of it tonight. I still like Gafford; he would be my preferred guy to go after. But I think that Washington might be a little over projected. I mean, remember, Orlando plays at one of the slowest paces and one of the best defensive teams in the league, which is pretty amazing considering they're a very young team. So I think it would be Gafford would be my priority if I had to pick one from here. I think he might end up being a priority overall. Gallinari, Poole, Jones, Kuz, all those guys are just in play for me, but nobody who quite ranks as a priority. And I'd like to get something because I do like the Orlando side quite a bit. And I think I'm going to probably, look, if the slate ended right now, I probably would have Paolo or Franz in one of each of them in most, if not all, my lineups possibly. Jonathan Isaac being questionable is actually a pretty big piece of information, even those 15, 16 minutes. One, he can get there. Two, Batatse and Mo Wagner are going to be better plays if he's not there. And this is such a premium matchup that I think you could take the shots on Cole Anthony and Jalen Suggs, but I just think I'd more sticking with the Wagner or Banchero. Banchero let a lot of people down the other night. Maybe it reflects in his ownership tonight. Wagner got the big for everybody. Maybe that reflects in his ownership. I would be very happy to go right back to Banchero today. Really a game we like to ignore the first games. The problem is Washington's always in the first game, which means we kind of have to think about somebody no matter what. You know what I mean? Because everything else is at 7:30 Eastern. And just look at last night. We didn't have the DeRozan news till after official lock. You know what I mean? Things did change quite a bit, and this slate is smaller, but you never know what you never know what you don't know yet. All right, what do you got next? It's Philly Boston.
Yeah, I have Philly Boston next. This feels like a real slow, just bad fantasy game. Unless, of course, Embiid is out again. In which case we have to look at all that stuff. So I'm not really getting to Embiid as any kind of priority here. I prefer Luka or Jokic. Not by that much, I suppose. I don't know. And similar to Tatum, I guess I'd rather play Jokic or Luka to those as well. In fairness, it's a 6-game slate, so maybe this will be low owned, I suppose. Who was getting minutes? Hold on a minute. With Porzingis out, I just want to see this. Luke Cornett got 20 minutes in the last game. I'll just throw that out there, just as a fact. I don't know what that means.
Do with it what you will.
Yeah, just he got that. If you're sick of playing guys like Hauser and losing money, maybe you can lose money on Luke Cornett. Maybe Philly. Paul Reed gave everybody a heart attack by not showing up in the game until the 17-minute mark or something. He still got 28 minutes, so don't worry.
Yeah, the blood helped a little there.
Bamba came in first, I think. So if in fact Embiid is out again, I mean, he was not at the morning shoot around. That's not good. Well,
we should know about this one. I'm gonna just blindly guess that this is in Denver, Phoenix, or without a doubt ESPN games. I don't need to look at the schedule. I can tell you, I can look at this schedule and say there's no way it's not Philly, Boston, Denver, Phoenix, because those are four of the 8 best teams in the NBA playing. They're definitely going to be those games.
I mean, come on, how do you not show up for this game?
That's that. I think he will show up for this game. But there's other concerns here. So I actually think that just immediately off the dome, Embiid feels like an incredible contrarian play to me. The problem I'm having is that it's not totally made up. He does struggle somewhat with these Celtics. And he has other monster games against them, sure, plenty to, but this year his 2 out of his 3 worst performances, and the other one was a blowout, I think, have been against the Celtics. I still think he's an interesting tournament play if you can find a way to get to him, because I do think that even if we're able to spend up, I just don't think people are going to be spending up on him. And then the price on Drew Holiday, it's a little bit of that, he's under 7K now and he's been good lately, let's play him. I like Drew Holiday. If he's really, if he ends up 25% owned, I think that's probably a little too high for me to go. I think I would just rather pivot. I think Derek White is actually like oddly like a little safer, if that makes any sense. But both of them have upside. Both of them are decent. Those are my two favorites right now. But like if you want to play Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum, I'm never going to tell you not to. It's just I personally, the builds are sort of leading me more towards Holiday, White, and I'll throw Brown into the mix or Brown. Maybe it's not such a bad idea to play Horford though too. Horford's has had success against Embiid in the past, and both facets on offense and on defense, and slowing him down. The former teammates and everything like that. I think Horford. So I guess that's what I would put it as one of the White, Brown, Holiday, Horford. But nothing that stands out as a priority for me here either at the moment.
Just so you guys know, there was an error. I mean, it's so irrelevant, but there was an error in the minutes file. I've just fixed it. So if you're a stickler for getting the minutes projections right on the noon projection run, it has now been fixed. Okay. Knicks Toronto.
Yep, let's do it. Go ahead.
Okay. It's going to be like the Bobby Sure plays, I guess.
We got to play somebody tonight.
Well, I mean, Pascal Siakam is 8,100. Among other $8,100 guys that I have a similar feeling about. It's probably going to be a slow game, but I mean that's all factored into projection, I guess. Jakob Poeltl at 5,900 seems that seems pretty reasonable. Brunson coming off a big game. I don't know if I could go back to that. I guess those two guys in Toronto would be, I would say, priorities, but they rate pretty well. So Siakam and Poeltl for me.
Yeah, so this is the game that I think no one really just looks like bad on its face. So it's one of those spots where, look, you're just going to get a low-owned Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson. I think there's nothing wrong with just deciding to take a shot on those guys. It's a big downgrade for the Toronto pace, but it's not necessarily a downgrade for these guys. And we know the Knicks; they'll play their guys minutes, and that's it. That's a good enough reason to take a shot on either of those guys if you want to take that shot.
But the Knicks. I mean, like Jalen Brunson, 40 minutes, 40 real life points, and now traveling to Toronto.
No, I know it's a little tricky. I think that so maybe you go Randall, but and we'll see. Morning shoot around might tell us that somebody's not playing. It is international. You never know. We've seen it happen before. So that might be a place where we end up with a little bit of value. But the Toronto side, everybody's projected really well, which is kind of freaky considering the Knicks are really slow and play really good defense. I think Siakam, I guess, is my number one. Anunoby, my number two. Schroeder, my number three. Scotty Barnes, my number four. Poeltl, number five. I love Scotty Barnes. I love playing him at low ownership. The only thing that worries me about him ever is I prefer him in a faster paced matchup than I would against a team like New York, because it's not like his half court offense is unbelievable, although he's been much better this year. But yeah, Siakam and Anunoby, Schroeder, then Poeltl. And I think those guys are good enough to where I know I probably want one of them on this kind of ugly slate so far. All right, Memphis, Dallas. Oh, that's good.
All right, I got something here. Okay, so let's see. Xavier Tillman is questionable. That's something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, it is.
Kind of hope that he's out because I got an idea. First of all, I think Luka Doncic is a good play. I think he's 11-4. He's the top projected guy on the slate. There's not a lot of value to get him in, but I definitely like him. Now he's actually getting some ownership. These guys usually are 2% owned nowadays. He's right. Stud. So I guess people think you can get him in, but for some reason you can't get in Embiid.
Well, he's just projecting so much better than Embiid.
I have him projected 2 points better than Embiid.
Oh, really? Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So I do like him. I don't really like anybody else on the Dallas side. I've heard some cases made for some of these other cheapos, like what's his name, the Josh Green, and the who is it, the Lively? Is he on Dallas? That guy? I don't know about that. I think that we also have a Q tag on Hardaway. So keep an eye on that. Maybe Grant Williams.
Or Josh Green, yeah.
Or I guess where Josh Green stepped into it. So the interesting part is going to be the Memphis side. It seems to be the same. I think with the exception of Tillman, I think the same guys are out as before. And I just want to just point a couple of things out. Like, first of all, Derrick Rose did very, very nicely with his 26 minutes. He's still 4,900. If he's starting or whatever it is, I think he's still a strong play. He's owned. I have him like 50% ownership.
Is this right that Luka's out?
Is that actually?
We just got Bryson saying that. Bryson, can you let us know if that's official? I haven't got the news in yet, and while we're doing these, it sounds hard, but like obviously we'll have to revisit this game if Luka's out. I mean,
I'll be able to find this in like 2 seconds because I know where to go for this thing. Let's see.
Okay.
Yes, Luka will miss for personal reasons.
Okay, that doesn't shock me given the spread, but you want to skip this game and come back to it in a minute?
So as I was saying, I think Kyrie Irving is a very good play. I think that him at 9,100, I think he's extremely strong. I think that there's going to be other people besides me that's going to come up with this. So I wouldn't expect to have 2% ownership on Kyrie Irving. How did my Reesum do last night? The Harry Giles.
I don't think that anybody played, did they? At least not
no, I think Bones Highland got in a couple of minutes.
He got a couple minutes.
What about Book Knight? Did he get in?
I don't know if Book Knight did.
I don't think so.
They did shut McGowan's was kind of like whatever. That play worked out way better than it probably should have last night.
Yeah, I know. No kidding.
He made 4 or 5 threes and only played 22 minutes. he was like, I mean, if they knew he was playing 22 minutes, he would have projected for like 15 fantasy points.
So I have an idea from this game. Okay, obviously Kyrie's going to look like a good play, and probably a whole bunch of other guys in Dallas. Maybe not a whole bunch of other guys. Kyrie's going to look like a good play. So I'm going to go back to Memphis for a second.
I'm not going to talk about this game for another 10 minutes. So if we could close with this game, I would love it because I would love to see some projections updated.
Okay, so can I talk about Memphis?
Oh, you do whatever you want. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll talk about Memphis at least. Because I was saying that Derrick Rose, if he starts again at 4,900, he's going to be pretty good. Desmond Bane, I mean, he was legit, man. I didn't remember. I suggested. Well, I asked you, what does his ceiling look like, whatever. And you said he'd get like 50 or 60. I mean, he actually looked better than I thought, and he was only 3 of 11 from 3. So actually hasn't made a 3 in like a while. So I guess he's expecting some regression from him. So I'll come up with a play. So I scroll down the list, and right now the guy I'm going to recommend is like 2% owned. And I brought this up the other day when all these Memphis guys were chalk. I said, do we really want to play Aldama at 30% ownership?
Well, then they moved him to the bench though. Then he ended up like 0% ownership.
Right, and whatever. But if he comes back to the starting lineup somehow, like I don't know. They moved him up 200. I don't know, just something to do, I guess. And then now, especially if you want to stack this game, I'll go a little deeper into the Memphis pool. So we can come back to Dallas, but I did want to go off talk about those Memphis things a little bit.
Yeah, I'll wait to assess it because it's going to be a stackable game. Just hoping that Memphis can keep it close now for me, and obviously
the Memphis can keep it close.
Memphis is one of the worst teams in the NBA this year.
Well, but without Luka, I mean, you can't really worry.
Dallas at home, they're still. I mean, I think that Vegas knew he was sitting. I think the spread's still going to be 10. So
okay.
So maybe 3 or 4 to 1. I mean, look, and I actually think Memphis can keep it close. So I'm on your side. I just want to point it out that
no, we're gonna. You think now? Right now, do you think it's off the board or 10 or less? I'm gonna pull up right now.
Maybe worst, I'd say 8.5.
I'm sure. I bet it's off the board. Let's see. It's 5.5.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
5.
Wow. I guess it didn't go as much as I thought.
What it means is that Luke is a really good basketball player.
Yeah, well, that we know. All right. Do we jump into the next one here, which is San Antonio?
Yeah. So here's another one that's got news filtering throughout the whatever. Is that remember that before the last game, Popovich said, "Listen, I can't guarantee he's going to play in both these games, pretty much." and he played a full 30 minutes, and man, that guy's got some serious upside. I can tell you. Man, I watched him a little bit. It looks like he's really not even doing much, and then like, what just happened? You know, it's like,
he got a block and transition dunk, and then a steal, and then another dunk.
Yeah, like one possession, like it takes like Aaron Holiday like 47 possessions to get like 10 fantasy points.
Right.
like Wembanyama like blinks and trips over himself at his 15. You know, it's
right.
Pretty amazing actually. So we obviously if he's out, then I would imagine it's going to open up guys up. Don't exactly know who, but yeah. The other side of this game is going to be, I imagine, again, this Dallas news is going to be, it's going to be different, make things different. But the matchup against San Antonio is pretty Coors Field-ish nowadays, and so all these Pelicans are going to look like they're in play. Brandon Ingram, 8,300, even Valanciunas at 6,800. Those are like the top guys. Zion, I suppose. But, yeah, I mean, this is definitely a pace-up matchup pretty much for everybody. So I think New Orleans is probably in play.
Yeah, I think New Orleans is going to win by 100 points. I think this is just a very tough situation for San Antonio. And I would guess that Wemby sits. I would guess that Vassell sits, which is going to open up a ton on San Antonio. It's possible because they've been keeping Vassell under the 27 minutes. Look, they brought him off the bench last night. He only played 27. He was the highest usage player on their team, and he was unbelievably awesome. And you just couldn't play him, though. But if you take him and Wembanyama out, McDermott, I think, should be back in, right? We'll see about that one, I guess.
I wouldn't play him.
Go ahead, Chiefs.
I don't think I'd play him, though.
No. I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, unless you get like a weird starting at 3,800, I might consider it because of some of the spend ups tonight, but probably not. Yeah, it's probably more like Malachi Branham may look good later in the day. But I think Sohan and Collins look like good plays now, and I think they'll be even better plays later if these guys are out. So those would be where I would start. And I actually think those are both like priority type of plays. And the only thing you worry about with Sohan is he played 1 million minutes. They have a lot of bodies. Maybe it's Trey Jones tonight. We'll see when we get some more San Antonio news, hopefully throughout the day. I don't know how everyone's going to be on this New Orleans stuff. I understand it's a good matchup, but this is literally the worst situation they've been in all year. They've had one game where they've all played together with Ingram, McCollum, and Zion. It's just really hard to hit ceilings when you're doing that. Now, do you need to hit a ceiling on a 6-game slate like this? Maybe not. Somebody might get there. Valanciunas makes some sense, but like, it's kind of weird. And Trey Murphy's coming back also, and Alvarado just got back. So literally the worst situation of the entire year for New Orleans feels like a spot where you kind of want to avoid it. But on a 6-gamer, maybe you have to do something. I think my favorite play might be Herb Jones. Like, I don't really – Zion can crush everybody in the front line, but they're going to let McCollum work his way back in and Ingram, and they're all priced appropriately. So I just – yeah, maybe one of them, but as of right now, I don't have them as a priority. I probably will prioritize higher if San Antonio does announce more than one guy out. All right, Denver, Phoenix.
Yeah, so a couple of things. First of all, if you guys, didn't catch this, if you follow us on YouTube, which you all should, we always say like hit the notification bell, make sure you like and subscribe. Like even more so now because. Just try to keep out like trolls or whatever. I do the settings now whenever we do these live things that you don't have to be a true DFS premium subscriber, but you at least have to be a subscriber to the YouTube channel to be able to chat and not like just showing up and just say, oh, I'm going to subscribe just so I can do whatever. You got to be a subscriber for like 20 minutes before you're even allowed to chat. So if like, and somebody came in, I was not allowed to chat, but I'm a subscriber. You actually have to be a subscriber to the YouTube channel.
Right.
To chat in YouTube. That's the best I can describe it.
Absolutely.
The other idea that I got from like another site actually, which I think this is pretty, I'm going to go a step further. So they've had a lot of these freaking island games, and somebody suggested to just take it off the slate, whatever.
That's just because somebody doesn't want to.
No, not really. But listen. But what I would suggest is you could take it off the slate and you could do like a huge like guaranteed showdown slate with it or something like that, and still get like a lot of action. It's just kind of a weird vibe. It's not like because you don't want a late swap or anything like that, but I don't know. Just from a sweat perspective, when you play all these games, you're like, ugh, no one even. I mean, either have a lot of people with this game or not too much. I don't know. Just from a sweat perspective, it just feels like it doesn't flow as well. That's the only reason I bring it up. Now with that said, I don't like too much in this game.
Yeah.
Okay. So Nikola Jokic is a good basketball player, and he's always good for an 80 ball. So, and he's always low owned. So why not? I guess that's the best I can describe this. Phoenix, I guess Durant is pretty good. He's going to be 5% owned. Sure, I guess. That's pretty much all I have to say about that game.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. Look, yes, Jokic. Jokic oddly projecting for less fantasy points on SaberSim than Luka or Embiid, or about the same as Embiid. He's going to get no ownership. It's because, with Murray back, I understand it. And it's more of a, like, this game probably means a lot more to Phoenix than it does to Denver for Denver knocking them out last year. And Jokic, though, whenever the other teams try to like hit at him, he goes nuts. And remember, the last time he was in Phoenix, the owner tried to get into it with him, or he got into it with the owner, depending on how you look at it. And almost got ejected from a playoff game. So kind of interesting, just a little background. But again, like you, I don't have a ton of interest. I think that I will make the bold play that I've recommended. I think there's one reason this guy is on this team, and it's not that he stops them, because Jokic is eating him up, but he's eating Jokic up too. Former teammate of Jokic, Yusuf Nurkic. Also, he worked out extremely well for me the other night. 50 fantasy points. Remember, he projected well early in the day. Nobody played. Ended up with 1%. 50 fantasy points the other night was beautiful. So I'm going to propose that Nurkic is a very good play here, and that's my favorite play in this game. I do think both Durant and Booker you can always consider, but I just think
Booker is legit questionable, by the way.
Yeah, which is interesting.
Booker's legit questionable. Jamal Murray is questionable. He came back. He was pretty good actually in 20 minutes because he's a pretty good basketball player too.
Yep.
So if Booker's out, then then Durant will be a good play.
Do we think he's really like? I'm just trying to if I had to weigh the chances of Booker sitting, I think it's very unlikely, personally. But it's more because I know Booker's mentality. He's obsessed with Kobe. Where's Kobe's numbers on his shoes? He is the guy, and you get a revenge game for a guy like that. I just assume that they're going to have a similar type of mentality, and that, hey, whatever else happens, I want to be there for that game, considering I played the last game and it's an ankle that's been going on. Maybe he still sits, but that's just my hunch. Either way, no matter what, I think Nurkic is if Booker's out, I think Nurkic is even better, and obviously Durant's an awesome play. But I think Nurkic is a very strong play. Maybe a contrarian one, but I really like this Nurkic thing, so I'm going to roll with it. My favorite things from I guess you know what? Let's go back to Dallas real quick. Sorry, I didn't talk about Dallas or my Memphis. I think Memphis already looked like a place where I would want to do a lot of things if I thought the game was going to stay close. And let me get out of here. Oops. I think Nurkic might actually be owned a little bit tonight. I think he's the reason. Anyway, Bane. I have it ranked Bane. Well, Rose for value, Bane, then Jackson on the high end, Rose. Then look, if Tillman's out again and David Roddy's starting, I'm going to play David Roddy. He was announced the late starter the other night for Aldama. That's where that's where the Aldama stuff shifted, and Roddy got the minutes and put up 30 fantasy points. That's what I'll do over there. On the Dallas side, the obvious thing is going to be Kyrie. And I think it's obviously it's a play that's hard not to make, but just trying to think of if there's a way he doesn't succeed. Remember, Tim Hardaway's still questionable too. Who else could get going there? So maybe, I don't know. Who else becomes a better play? I guess it would be Josh Green, or the weird one is that a guy who might not play any minutes or wasn't going to necessarily play any minutes to start the day, Jaden Hardy may end up being the best play on the slate. Even with the bad projection, if Tim Hardaway's out, you can't have only Kyrie as literally your only shot creator. Jaden Hardy, you can say a lot of things about Jaden Hardy, but you can't say he's not a great shot creator or a shot creator. He's not willing to take shots. He's going to take shots. So Jaden Hardy is a guy I probably will speculate with even if Hardaway's in. But if Hardaway is out, I will definitely play Jaden Hardy. And I'm guessing his projection will shoot through the roof. If it doesn't, great. I will be on that train because that guy can score. So I like that Memphis-Dallas game stack. Nurkic and Kyrie probably being my favorite plays like that I'll have the most exposure to on the slate. And yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. I like one of the Toronto guys. Like I like the idea of getting to, for me, my favorite one is Siakam, but I think and OG is probably a second.
Let's talk more about the Dallas for a second. We'll talk more later, but you think that these guys are guys you could play off the bench? You know what I mean? Like if like Hardy doesn't start or something like that.
What was that?
Like these Dallas guys.
I don't think Hardy will start no matter what is my guess, but if he starts, he's locked.
Okay.
All
right. So listen, we got Hardaway questionable. We got all kinds of stuff going on. So
yeah.
We'll see. But I think all those Dallas guys, starting with Kyrie, are going to be in play, and you probably want to play some Memphis guys. So.
Yes, agreed with that. And the Memphis guys already were to me terrific plays as well. So like Bane and Rose especially. And then we'll see about Roddy with the question.
And Jaren Jackson. Yeah, Roddy ended up getting the start in this last game.
Yeah.
He was only 4K, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wait. So you know who was showing up as a big value play? We'll just keep an eye on it. Was Jalen Noel? Again, 3,400. So I don't know if he's still going to be a good play with this Dallas stuff, but another guy to throw into the hopper.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Anyway, yeah, and then Jolly's mentioning in here San Antonio cheap players because the game's going to be a blowout in Jokic. No, not for me. I don't know how you're going to try and guess San Antonio when they've got literally 16 available bodies. I don't even know how you're allowed to. You used to only be allowed to have the whatever number guys. I swear San Antonio has more than they're allowed to have every night. But I think San Antonio, if Wembanyama and Vassell are out, I don't think it's necessarily going to be the cheapos, but the medium guys like Branham and Trey Jones and that kind of thing. And I like the Jokic contrarianness. I just don't see it as being that easy yet, but maybe it becomes very easy.
So Memphis, Dallas, Washington, Orlando, maybe the San Antonio game. Philadelphia, Boston is just going to be whatever. Knicks, Toronto probably will be whatever. It's those three games pretty much, I think. Pels, the Memphis, Dallas, and the Washington.
All right. Sounds good to me, man. Good luck to everybody. We're going to be live at 6 Eastern, and I think that we're going to probably have a lot more value than we have currently on the slate. I will post my early builds and all that stuff. And yeah, let's crush it tonight, guys. Feeling like I feel redialed back into NBA now.
Nice.
But it's just you gotta wait for the results to come sometimes. And
now you're like more mature. You're like a year older now, so
that's what happened.
You have a new outlook. You have a new outlook on life.
Yeah, it's just nice. Hey, don't worry about winning 100,000. 12K is okay, Bobby. Win 12K at a time.
Exactly.
There you go. All right.